Hello and welcome to the Adventure Games podcast. My name is Seoirse and I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 69 of the Adventure Games podcast. I hope everyone is well. This is also the very first video episode of the podcast, so if you want to listen to all the previous episodes, you can listen to them on adventuregamespodcast.com or on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. So this week I am joined by Marko from Red Martyr Entertainment, and he joined me to speak about their new game Saint Kotar. He spoke to me also about the free prologue that they just released, Saint Kotar, the Yellow Mask, which is out now for free on Steam. He also spoke about their Kickstarter for the full game, Saint Kotar, and what rewards you can expect if you back the game. So, without further ado, here is a trailer for Saint Kotar, followed by the interview. So, please enjoy.
Would you describe this place as a hidden gem in the mountains?
Well, it is alluring, isn't it?
If I had only ignored her request for a visit. Everything feels so wrong.
I am delighted to be joined by Marko from Red Martyr Entertainment, who's working on Saint Kotar. Before we start talking about your game, Saint Kotar, which I'm really looking forward to, I was wondering if you could introduce yourself and say what your favorite adventure games are.
Well, my first adventure game was Maniac Mansion on the Commodore 64. But I'd say my favorite one is The Curse of Monkey Island, because
good choice.
Because of everything. The Curse, yes, definitely. The Curse of Monkey Island is my favorite one, but the first one is always the best one. So Maniac Mansion is close to my heart always.
Of course, yeah. No, they're. I would say the first three Monkey Islands are definitely the best. Although I don't mind the fourth one so much. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
yeah. Neither. Yeah.
It's by no means the best adventure game ever, and it's not as good as the first three. I don't think it's so bad. But yeah, and is there any reason why you prefer the Curse of Monkey Island to say the first two Monkey Islands, or is there any particular?
Probably the art style. The art style is really beautiful. Yeah, because of the art. Other stuff, probably the story and the puzzles are in my opinion, better designed, and the story is better written in the first two. But definitely the art style. It's what bought me in the Curse of Monkey Island.
Right. Yes. So I think a lot of people love the art style. It does look absolutely beautiful, and I love the different islands and warm, sunny locations that you can go on. And Maniac Mansion, which you mentioned as well, which is again, it's one of the first adventure games that like what we know, and it is very ahead of its time, I think, because you can play with different characters who have different skills and abilities.
And you could do even progress to the story in different ways with different characters. And I was really scared back then to play with Bernard, yes, and the old lady, I don't know her name, Edna.
Edna, Nurse Edna, yes.
Yes. I was really scared by her when she always ran from the what's the name of
taking me back now. Is it the basement or the house or the?
No, when you were in the kitchen, she will always run to you from the hall.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time since I played it, but yes, I remember it was quite a creepy game.
Yes. For a kid, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it had horror themes, like some horror elements in it, and it was interesting how Dave the Tentacle just was completely different.
Yeah.
But no, that's very interesting then. And then, as we mentioned, you're working on Saint Kotar, and by the time this episode goes out, your Kickstarter will have been out. And so, what can you tell us about your company then? When did you start a company, and how did you get involved in making an adventure game?
Well, I started this company. I founded it 10 years ago, but my first business wasn't a studio. I didn't have a game development studio in the beginning. I had a gaming workshop here in Croatia, and then when I get tired of it, sometime in 2017, I founded this studio. It was first named Tanais Games. This was the name.
Yes,
this was the first name. Yes, of the studio. So we rebranded the studio last year, at the end of the last year, to Red Martyr Entertainment. And how did I start? I didn't have any experience. This is the first project we are working on. Our mistake was with Saint Kotar. The mistake was that we announced it very, very early in development, and we were really, how do you say? We were really, let's say, young in terms of game development. We did a lot of prototyping. We did tons of mistakes. We worked entirely remotely. It was back then entirely remotely. So we moved. Only the core team moved into an office last year. So when somebody asked me when did we start, I'd say always in 2019 because before that it was really chaos and I don't know. It was cool. I'd say it was cool. It was we worked a lot, but we did so many mistakes, and we had we had the demo ready. Then we decided to change some stuff under the hood, in technical terms. So here we are. We are 8 days from the release of the prologue and the start of the Kickstarter campaign. So I hope everything will go fine. So far, we had about 50 playtesters to play the prologue, and they all love the game. There are, of course, some things that some individuals don't like, some others like, but all in all, in general, they like the prologue.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, it's impossible to please everybody. That's what I've learned. For some people, the puzzles will be too difficult. Others, the puzzles will be too easy. Others, it'll be maybe too much horror, too little horror. But I mean, I know you mentioned that you were, when you were young, when you started, you said you made some mistakes. But then, do you think that you learned from them then, because that this has helped you then? Because what I tell people is, people told me similar that we started. I think a lot of developers probably done the same, that when they start a project, they share some screenshots or they make an announcement, and then people are very excited and they want the game like right now, immediately. And so, but no, a lot of people I know are really looking forward to this game. What I see online is that a lot of people seem to be, really excited about this game, and I know I am. It's looking great. So first of all, then, before we get into the game, I was wondering if you could let us know, because you mentioned that the name of your company was Tanais Games first. So I was wondering
Yes.
if you could let us know, why did you change the name of the company? Was it to distinguish yourselves, or to... If you're not able to answer, don't worry.
No, it's okay. Well, I wanted to rebrand because I wanted a fresh start. We
Sure.
did, like I said, we made so many mistakes, and to be quietly honest, I didn't like the Nice Games name in the beginning. From the start. Red Martyr, on the other hand, has a lot of symbolism in it. It's based on the idea that the martyrs are people who never back up. Who will rather die than back up on their own, values and how they see the world. So this is the main idea behind the name. We are still here. We are still developing the prologue after all the mistakes we did. So we never really gave up on our dreams to make Saint Kotar a game. Of course, this is just a beginning. This we have to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, and we need people to like the prologue to back us on Kickstarter, of course. But I'm confident it will go, everything will go fine, and that we will continue developing the full game. The full game will have, the prologue is just about 10% of the full game. So if we consider that the prologue has 2 to 3 hours of gameplay time, sometimes for some players even 4 hours, so you can imagine how much it will go for the full game. We also have branching storylines, etc., etc. So I don't want to drag on. You can ask me specific questions about the game.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm delighted to find out more. So I mean, I think it's a great choice that, as you mentioned, after everything, you're still here, you're still working away, and we're very close to, well, the finish line of the beginning.
Yeah.
We're very close now to the Kickstarter and the prologue. So finally we can get our hands on the game and get a taste of the game then. So then about the prologue first, we mentioned it's only 10%, and we were saying before we started recording that the prologue would be as long as, I would say, a lot of adventure games are nowadays, a lot of full adventure games. So it seems like we still get a full experience, and not with this game, but in general, we can get a large taste, a gulp of what to expect.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us then about, we can start off with the story of Saint Kotar and the plot. So what can you tell us about the story?
Without spoiling.
Yes, well. That's always the tricky part.
Yeah. You play with two characters. You can switch between them, and these two characters came in Saint Kotar as, let's say, tourists. They came into Saint Kotar to attend an exhibition of medieval arts. Then. Let me think about what to say.
Things happen. I'm sure they have a lovely experience. They have a lovely holiday. Nothing happens, and they go back home. Yeah. End of game.
Yeah. Well. After arriving, some things start to happen. These things are macabre murders, and everything points out that these murders are related to witchcraft and devil worship. So they start to investigate, and as they are, each of these characters is looking to has his own desire. They don't have quite the same desire, but they're all they're both moving into the same direction. Without spoiling, I have to talk like this, like
I know,
in a mysterious way, since the prologue is just a bit, is really the beginning of the full game, I think I should just leave this
Sure.
unanswered to the end, and just leave the players to play it when it comes out on June 18. The prologue will make an introduction into the full story, and they will have a good idea what will really happen afterwards in the full game, and what these two characters will be looking for.
Sure, no, that sounds perfect. That's because I know, to me, whenever I review games as well, I always try not to spoil things. Because some reviews that I read, it's like they give the whole story away. And I hate doing that. So most of the time I say, well, this character meets this character, and then things happen. Things escalate. You find out. But I was wondering then, so you mentioned the two characters then who arrive in this village called Saint Kotar.
Yeah.
And are you able to tell us anything about the characters, about a little bit who they are? Or again, is that a spoiler? So are they investigators? Are they normal people? Or, well, normal people, are they like us? Or are they ghost hunters or detectives? Or what can you tell us, if anything? Or do we find out later who they are?
Well, I can say they are in the service of God. That's
okay.
all. They are not detectives. They are not nothing like ghost hunters or something like that. Yes, they are ordinary people who just came to see this exhibition of medieval arts. And yeah, they didn't come alone. There was a woman who came with them. So you have to play the game to know where is she. Yes.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm looking forward to finding out more about them. And now you mentioned as well, it's in Saint Kotar.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this village? Is this village, is it based on any real location, or is it set in any particular country, or is this entirely fictional?
Yes, the town itself is fictional, but it's located in the mountainous region of Croatia. This region we are from Croatia, so this makes sense. This region in real life is really beautiful. It has a lot of untouched nature, and it's one of my favorite regions in Croatia. You can imagine something like Twin Peaks, or I don't know which other movie or game. Alan Wake comes to mind.
Yes.
Also. Yeah. So we put this fictional town Saint Kotar in the region, in the mountainous region of Croatia, that is called Gorski Kotar. So it has some connections with the name. The town itself visually is a combination of our own imagination and a few other small villages or towns from the region. So real life locations will be in the game. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's part fictional, part based on real life.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I guess after playing Saint Kotar, I might have to visit that town just to see how this is where it was. I also feel like with when I saw the trailer and when I see some of the screenshots, I get sort of a Silent Hill vibe as well. Is that one of the inspirations behind the game? Was that for the dark screenshots, but maybe it's a coincidence?
It's a coincidence. A lot of fans and people when they see the trailers or some screenshots, they always mention Silent Hill, sometimes Alone in the Dark, Black Mirror, Alan Wake also. So it's really just a coincidence, because I can't say more, but the fog and the setting is really connected to the story. It really has something to do with the background story and the lore from the games, from this town particularly. So I should stop. I should just stop and let the players play.
I know it's very, very difficult to talk about without
Yeah.
spoilers, because I know some developers have been working so long on their games that when they get a chance to speak, that I've had other developers say that they want to talk in more detail. that But no, I'm sure players will find out for themselves, what the story is behind the fog and the village then. And so then you mentioned before regarding the gameplay that there is a branching paths, and that with it, I believe on the Steam page it's that there are choices that have to be. What can you tell us about these branching paths then? Or can you tell us anything again without spoiling? Or
Yeah, well, of course, there are many decisions immediately in this prologue, not just the full game, that impact what will happen later on. There are lots of stuff in the prologue that you do, but that you don't have an idea what will this how do you say what will happen because of that, because you don't know what this decision, what you did right now, what will impact later on in the full game. So some stuff in the prologue will be for the players will be maybe confusing a little bit, because they will really don't have a clue what this means for the full game. But everything they do in the prologue will affect the storylines and the gameplay also later on in the full game. I can probably say just one example. You can there are locations that you don't have to visit at all, but one of them is the lake. Is the location at the lake. If you visit the lake, there's a boat there. You can pull this boat because it's pushed away, it's off the shore. You can pull it with a rope to bring it closer to the bridge. When you pull it there, you can choose what to do next. You can cut the rope. You don't have to cut the rope. You can push the boat away again, or you can leave it right there. What you do in this particular moment in the prologue with this boat, or you don't at all, will affect your possibility to use that boat later on in the full game. Because with one character you can cut the rope and push the boat, and that's it. You cannot possibly get this boat back to you later on in the full game. If you do that, you will have a much harder time to get to the other side of the lake, because you'll have to go there. So you will make, in this particular moment, you will get something that will make your life easier in the game in that particular moment, and a little bit after that. But if you push the boat and cut the rope, you will have a much harder time later on in the full game to get to the other side of the lake. So things like this. This is just one example. There are many examples immediately in the prologue, but there will be a lot more in the full game.
Okay, so then when we play the full game, so do we have to play the prologue again, or will we have already played the prologue and then the decisions will affect what happens in the full game? Or can you explain how that would work?
Yeah, I don't know if you played Broken Sword 5, the first episode. Yeah.
Yes.
So when the full game came out, you could choose if you want to play just the first episode, and then or do you want? You could choose to play the game from the start, which includes the episode 1, of course, or you could choose just to continue the game from episode 2 and onwards. So something like that, we will do something similar. We will give you a choice to decide whether you want to play the prologue, or you'll just want, or if you want, you can just continue playing the game after the prologue. But this is then a problem with these decisions. So we'll have to figure out how to do that, because we will probably have to decide, okay, this is what the most of the players will do, and just put this in as if you play the prologue. So if you click continue the game after the prologue, you will just continue as if you played the prologue, but the decisions that will be there will be ours. So we will suggest that after the full game is developed and released, that you play from the start, because of course we will also improve things in the meantime from the prologue up to the release of the full game. We will add probably more sounds, better animations, maybe even some technical stuff like visual effects. The fog will be improved, etc. So we don't have much time left to do these things, but for the full game, we will of course improve all of them.
Okay, no, that sounds good. Yeah, so you have the option then, or to replay, but I'm guessing a lot of people probably want to replay it as well to get back, remind themselves of the story and the characters, and so then with regards to the puzzles, then, so what type of gameplay can we expect in the game? What type of puzzles can we expect then, and what can you tell us about their difficulty level? Because I know that this is also another thing for developers that is very difficult, very challenging. How challenging do you make the puzzles? Because we mentioned before with our recording, I think during recording, that it's impossible to please everybody. Some people say the puzzles are too difficult. Some say they're too easy. So what has been your focus on the puzzles? How did you go about making the puzzles for Saint Kotar?
Well, my vision for Saint Kotar is to make a game that is story-driven above all, and choice-driven. Like I said before, with this boat example, but it's not really just things like if you want to push a boat or not. There are things that what you say to other characters also influence what will happen afterwards. So it's above all story-driven and choice-driven. It's not really puzzle-driven. Of course, this is a point-and-click adventure game, and we have puzzles. But in general, they are, at least in the prologue, they are easy, as it should be, of course, because it's the beginning of the game, and you have to introduce the story to the players, and so the puzzles really shouldn't be hard. But later on in the full game, puzzles will get harder. That's for sure. But if someone comes to play Saint Kotar with the idea that he will play a game like, I don't know, Monkey Island that was heavy on puzzles, I don't think he will love the game for this element of I don't know really if there are play testers so far. They said in general that puzzles are not hard, they are easy to moderate. So my idea is not to make a game that is puzzle driven that has hard or moon logic logic.
Yes.
Puzzles.
I agree with you there, because that's something that has really plagued the adventure game genre, especially older games. You're thinking, how can I possibly get this? Yeah. So I do prefer your approach, and I think with people say that puzzles might be easy, also might be that the puzzles are logical, that they make sense. Because especially with a serious game like Saint Kotar, I imagine it's more difficult to have the type of puzzles that are in Monkey Island that is comedy driven and fantasy driven, because if you combine a monkey in a pulley with a monkey wrench, in Saint Kotar, it's like it would make. And personally, I think that it might, because I've played other adventure games, other like horror serious games that had these type of puzzles there, and it kind of not destroys a game, but it does bring the game down. It's like, what? Why am I doing this? So I think I would agree with you. In a game like this, I think that the focus should be in story and then choice driven, and there's some logical puzzles that make sense. So that sounds good then. And so then with then in the Steam page as well, you mentioned that we get a glimpse of a vast and foreboding world to explore. So I take it then there will be some world building in the prologue. So what type of world building can we expect, if that's not a spoiler, if that makes any sense?
Like I said, this is just something like 10% of the full game. So you explore something like 10 locations in the prologue. The full game will have something like 70 to 80 locations that you will have to explore to finish, of course, the full game. Some locations will be even optionals. Like I said, some locations are there, you can explore them, but you don't have to. It's up to you how will you progress through the story. Of course, as and this is also in the prologue, some locations change with the plot. So it depends on what's happening. More particularly when you'll start to play the game, you'll see that the house where you wake up changes in particular moments of the game. So some locations will get from being daylight during the day, and then you'll access them. Then you'll get back to them during the night. The main idea is to give the player a sense that he's really in this small town, that he is a stranger in this town, he's a tourist, and that he is trying to do what he wants to do, what the characters want to do, of course. I think I answered your question about the world.
Yeah, definitely, and no spoilers as well, which is very impressive. You answered.
I could just mention that, of course, there's the town and there's the surrounding of the town. So, like I said before, this is the mountainous region, so there will be some locations in the mountains, inside the mountains, inside the forests. So basically that's it. But they are all different. They are not made the same way, or there's no reuse of assets.
Right. So everything is unique then.
Yes. Each location is unique. Yes.
Okay. No, that sounds very interesting. And then speaking about the locations, because another thing that at least grabbed my attention is, the graphics and the art style, because it has a very distinctive, art style. Now, first of all, I was wondering, because since this is audio, I was wondering how would you describe the art style of Saint Kotar and the graphics?
It's a semi-realistic style. So semi-realistic. We are using there's everything going under the hood, but basically we approach the scene building when we are just starting. We of course make a concept art for the location. It's a process where I imagine a location. I say to my artist to draw a concept art for that. then we brainstorm a little bit to see how to approach this location, gameplay wise, technical wise, etc. etc. Then we start building it using 3D models. Once we are good with the camera perspective, we lock this perspective, and then we start using some photos, and then we paint over these photos to blend them all in what we have in one cohesive location that looks, I believe, good. Of course, at the end, we also put the particle effects, the fog, the cloud that are moving, etc., etc., the smoke, for example. And that's pretty much it. So this is a semi-realistic style. We are something like, the name says, we are something in between realism and painted backgrounds.
Yeah, well, it looks it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
They're going through.
Yeah, too much work probably.
No, well, I think it seems to be working out because the graphics look very nice, and from what I've seen in the trailer, it seems to work out well. It seems to look nice as well. And how many people? I meant to ask you this before. How many people are on the team to make the game and to make the graphics then as well, and do what you mentioned?
There's just one person working as a background artist.
Wow.
Yeah. We are a team of 4. This is the core team. So it's me, it's the developer, it's the girl who is doing the PR and the quality assurance, and so some other small tasks. There's the background artist, and then we have a few freelancers who are working for us. For example, for the sound, for the audio. One person is working with us as a consultant, as a programmer, and we have a character artist and animator that is also, he's not part of the core team, because whenever we need a character to be made, we just give him a task, he makes it, and then just returns it, and we put it inside the game. So of course it would be a lot easier if we could just hire all of these people and work with them full time in the office, but the budget doesn't allow us.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully with the Kickstarter, maybe you'll be able to hire more people then.
Yeah. I hope. I hope.
Well, we'll see. And then speaking of the sound, you recently announced that you had cast a famous actor in a role. What can you tell us about that? So who did you cast then?
It's Happy Anderson. He played a lot of roles in some TV shows, like what's the name on Cinemax? Nick, I think it's the name. He played with Will Smith in Bright, so it's a Netflix movie.
Yes.
Yeah, Bird Box with Sandra Bullock. He is gonna appear in the next X-Men. I think it's called New Mutants. If I'm right.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, he's best known for his role as Jerry Brudos, the serial killer, the real life serial killer in the Netflix TV show Mindhunter. I really liked. I'm crazy about Mindhunter. I rewatched the show. I don't know, probably 10 times already, and Happy was really great in his role as Jerry Brudos, and he's almost identical to a character we have in the town of Saint Kotar, the innkeeper. The character is Davor. So when I saw Mindhunter, it was last year, I started to fantasize how good it would be to have Happy on board on this project. A few months ago, I contacted his agents. We exchanged a lot of emails before we made a deal, and so here it is. He's on board. He already recorded the lines for us, and they will be included, of course, in the prologue on release date.
Wow! Congratulations, because it's a huge victory for you guys to get someone like Happy Anderson to play the character, because usually with adventure games, apart from a few exceptions, the actors have become better over the years, but they're very rarely like A-list actors like Happy Anderson. So so we know the voice acting is sorted. We know that's going to be good.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And do you know if he will voice in Saint Kotar in the full game by any chance, or is that still too early to say?
If Happy Anderson will appear again in the full game?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, probably not only as Davor, but also as his cousin. But we will have to renegotiate the deal later after the Kickstarter. So we'll see if we will have the funds to get this deal through. Of course, I just wanted to add that not only Happy Anderson, he's the one that is best known from all the actors, but we really have a great talents for other actors, like Mike Bodie. He gave his voice to Tom Clancy's Division, to Ghost Recon. He played also in the movie with what's the movie? I can't remember the name, with Morgan Freeman. I can't really. I can't remember.
He was in a movie with Morgan Freeman.
That's enough.
That's all you need to say.
Yes. Mike Bodie and Michael Schwalbe. He gave his voice for Ori and the Blind Forest in Devil May Cry 5, in Half-Life, the new Half-Life Alex. So we really have a great pool of talent as voice actors in the prologue and later on in the full game. I hope I'll be able to attract more actors for the full game. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, look, this will help. I imagine that if you say, look, we have these actors, so do you want to join us and join them? I imagine that make things easier. If we're one person and more people. I mean, even if you just had these people, that would still be like, wow, it's still very impressive. So and so, well, I'm looking forward to hearing them speak then in the game. And then what can you tell us about the music then? Because especially for horror games and atmospheric games, the music, of course, is important to help set the atmosphere. So what can you tell us about the type of music that you use in the game, and how did you go about composing?
Well, we have two brothers. They are with us, as like I said before, they are just freelancers. They are working with us for I don't know, probably from the start, if I remember correctly. All I say, just you need to give me a creepy soundtrack in this part of the game, and that's it. They handle everything else. I don't know. It's hard to explain to explain how the music will be. It's it's a psychological horror after all. So of course it will be haunting. It will be creepy, dark. The playtesters really loved the soundtracks. They couldn't love the sounds because a lot of them were still missing when they started playing. But they will be all in the game on the release, of course. So we still have a lot of work specifically for the sound department. So I think we have something like 200 sound effects, just sound effects, and each location has its own soundtrack. So we have something like 12 soundtracks, because of course there's the main menu, etc. But what we're trying to do is to have a movie-like approach. So of course not just movie-like, it has already been seen in video games. When something happens, when you do something, the soundtrack changes, and there are some one-shot sounds that follow the situation you are in. So I believe it will be great. It will be great because I really have faith in these two guys I mentioned. I can say their names. Jure. It's really hard to say his name in English, but it's Jure and Borna from Zagreb. Yes. I don't know if you have a particular question about the sound. Maybe I could.
Well, I mean, I think you've explained it, very well. As you say, creepy music.
Yeah.
No, but I imagine as well, in particular now, it sounds like you have a lot of sound effects already. 200 to me sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Just for the prologue. Yes.
Yeah. So this prologue, which is, I believe, it's rapidly becoming like a full game. It sounds like it from what you're saying, and no, that's I mean, from everything you're telling me, like it definitely looks. We can see that you're putting a huge amount of work and effort into everything regarding the sound then as well. And what languages will the game be in then? Because I imagine English it'll be in. Will it be in any other languages as well?
Yes. German, Russian, Polish, Turkish. Most probably on release there will be also Brazilian Portuguese and Italian.
Wow.
The last two we are not sure if we will make it, because there will be this will be really a photo finish localization. But I think of course I would have loved to have even the French, the Spanish, the Chinese, because I didn't know that before, but Chinese are really, really crazy about adventure games.
This is good to know.
Yeah. So, but of course, we have 17,000 words in the prologue, and to translate in even just one language, it's really expensive. So since this is a free prologue and we are aiming to raise funds on Kickstarter, this is really the most we could do with the localization. So for the full game, of course, we will aim to have French, of course, besides this one I mentioned, French and Spanish and Chinese.
Okay, now it still sounds like a lot, as you mentioned, for a free prologue in all these different languages. That's again more than a lot most full games. And so then I know when we're recording, you still haven't done released a Kickstarter, but by the time this is released, hopefully it will be on Kickstarter. Is there anything you can tell us about the Kickstarter? So, I suppose my first question is, why did you decide to use Kickstarter? Was there any particular reason why you use Kickstarter rather than try and find a publisher, or was this a decision that you guys made early on that this is what you wanted to do to involve the fans, or what can you tell us?
Yeah, it was on one of the reasons was to involve, of course, the fans, to make the game with them, because I think this is the best approach. But of course, Kickstarter has become also a good promotional platform, not just to raise funds. But the main idea why Kickstarter, because I really wanted to avoid the publishers. It's not that I have something against them, no, because I don't know, maybe in the end we will get a deal with a publisher, of course. They can really help, but it really depends on which publishers and what type of deal you make with them. So it will be the best case will be just to raise enough funds on Kickstarter and do the game by ourselves. But I don't know, we'll see, because to develop a game of this sort like Saint Kotar, it really is within the genre of adventure games, point and click. It really has, I think, a top quality production. And this is not cheap. So of the Kickstarter sum we raise, it's not a sum we get. Of course, there are also taxes, the provision that the Kickstarter takes for themselves. So we'll see how much funds we'll be able to raise, and what in the end would come out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we raise funds and then also find a publisher. I don't know. We'll see.
That has happened. I have heard it happening, that people go on Kickstarter, they're very successful, and then on top of that, publishers come to them.
Yeah.
And so you never know. So might get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And also, recently I've been seeing as well that some Kickstarters that they have, have been successful. That for adventure games as well. That there's definitely, I see, a resurgence in interest. But I think the good thing about you guys is that you guys have raised awareness about the game way before as well. A lot of people know about the game already and have been eagerly anticipating it. So I think that will help. And what apart from the game then as well itself, what type of rewards can people expect, if you're able to mention that at the moment? Or
Oh well, of course, the lowest ones will be just the key for the game, but we will have also tiers that include the key and the digital art book, the soundtrack. Also, we have an interactive animated comic book in the making that will cover part of the background story of the full game. So these things that will happen in the comic book are related to the events in the full game, and in the prologue, of course. So there will be tiers that include also the animated comic book. We will have also the physical edition, collector's edition that will include the boxed version of the game, along with physical, a real life mask that you will have a chance to find. I am accentuated. I'm highlighting this. You will have a chance, because if you don't know where to look, you will not find this mask. So you can find this mask in the prologue, and one of these tiers will include also this mask in a physical how to say, in a physical
in a physical package, of course there will be some limited
to just one backer. This will be high tiers. There will be they are going from 900 euros and and higher. This I don't want to spoil this, but
okay, yeah,
they will be limited to just one person. Also, there will be some tiers that will include your portrait to be displayed in some buildings around the town. Also, we will have a top tier that will give you the chance to come to the region of to the fictional region of in like I mentioned before, in the Metanis region of Croatia, the Saint Kotar, and we will be your guide for 3 days. Everything except the trip will be paid, will be included in this tier. Also, you will, if this will be limited to seven persons, and this is not just a number 7. It's really related to something in the story, in the prologue, because there are 7 disciples of a priest in the story, and you can become one of them. So you will have a chance to get a statue in the game with your own, character. You will be a statue in the game. You will be one of these 7 disciples that are really like saints for the inhabitants in the game, in the town. That's pretty much
interesting. Again, it sounds like you've thought it out well. The rewards as well. They're very interesting rewards that. Get a private tour guide of the locations which inspired Saint Kotar. That sounds very interesting.
Real life location that appear in the game, not just in the full game, but also in the prologue. We will visit with whoever or if anyone buys this top tier, because it's not cheap. Let's be honest. But
well, you never know. People, when they see it, they might think, they might go for it. Well, that sounds very interesting then. Well, I think that's all the questions that I have. That you've covered everything, and I'm really looking forward to it now myself, even more so now than I was, because as I mentioned, for a long time I've been, looking forward to it as well. Is there anything that you would like to? Oh, first of all, where can people find you? I always forget this question. The most important question, probably. I will include the links in the show notes to the Kickstarter and to your website and that as well. But just for people listening, where can people find you?
Okay, so we have the official website of the studio, redmartyr.com. We have an official website for the game, saintkotar.com. We are, of course, on every major social platform, Facebook, with both the studios page and the games page, on Twitter, likewise for the studio and the game. On Instagram, we have a Discord server. They can also subscribe to our newsletters. We are also on Pinterest, on DeviantArt, on image
everywhere,
everywhere, YouTube, everywhere. So we are really on Steam. We are really we do how do you say? I'm really tired, so my
no, it's fine.
On Steam, we have frequent updates. We frequently update with news, and we always, of course, respond to questions there. So we are really everywhere.
Yeah, no, I can vouch for that. I can definitely see, because I'm part of the social media, and I see that you guys do update, and I see you guys do interact with fans on social media and on Discord as well. So, so that's great. So, So then, where can people? I don't know. Whatever we asked that question, I'm tired now as well. I was about to ask you the exact same question.
Just to be sure.
Just to be sure we got that. No, my next question is my final question is there anything that you would like to say to people listening apart from to back you guys on Kickstarter and to get the game? Also wishlist the game, I imagine. That's important as well. But is there anything else that you would like to say before we finish?
Oh, well, nothing particular, but because I think we really covered everything.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And no spoilers. And no spoilers.
Yeah, without spoilers, yes. We will have, if someone misses Kickstarter or doesn't want to back us there, we will have a supporter pack on Steam, of course. This supporter pack will have the soundtrack from the prologue, digital art book, a print, how do I say this? An image to print yourself the T-shirt of the game that will be in the Kickstarter. Also, we will currently the prologue is only available on Steam. But hopefully, by the end of this week, we will have a green light from GOG.
Oh, congratulations!
Let's fingers crossed. And the game will also be available on each EO. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else
to say.
Other than this is our baby. This is our first baby. We did a lot of mistakes. The first mistake was to announce the game too early because we were excited about the game, so we decided to put it out and to announce the game will be, I don't know, out in a few months, and then we are here in 2020 and the game is about to come out. So
you would be amazed how many developers do that they start work, even very experienced developers who I've spoken to, they do that. They announce a game, they say, we expect this game to be out with a couple of months or a year, and then 10 years later they're still working on. So you are far from alone, and if that is the biggest mistake that you guys make, then quite frankly it's probably not a mistake at all, because you got people excited. But and actually there is another question, if you can answer, or what you can say, is because I know this is far down the line, so when you've released Saint Kotar, do you have any ideas for any other games you might want to make, or a series, or a standalone? No, again, completely up to you how you answer, because I don't want to give any spoilers for this game, and I know that things might change. But do you have any ideas for what you might do after you release this? After a holiday, after a long holiday, I'm sure.
Yes.
And rest and beer and.
Yes, of course we have. Right now I have 6 to 7 ideas what to make after Saint Kotar. It will be an adventure game, most probably again a point-and-click adventure game like Saint Kotar, because now we have established a good workflow. We have our own custom framework in Unity. So it will be really a shame to switch to some other genre, or to go, I don't know, do something in Unreal. We will be able to develop the next project much faster because of these things I mentioned. Probably in a year and a half, or a top 2 years, we will be able to release the next project after Saint Kotar. I have ideas about making some sci-fi, like Blade Runner, something like that. Also, some ideas, something like maybe not a point and click, but like I said, this would make us we will have to to create again a new framework, etc., etc. So the idea to make something like Silent Hill, it's really hard. So I think we'll stick with the point-and-click genre, at least for the next few titles, because I really love what I love is the point-and-click genre and the RPG. The RPG is probably even my favorite one. The Baldur's Gate and the Fallout series are my favorite games of all time. But our studio is really to make good stories. It's not about the genre, but it's to create stories that are story-driven and choice-driven. That's the main idea behind our titles. So I don't know, probably a sci-fi like Blade Runner or something like Alan Wake, Silent Hill, something like that. Well, we will see. It's really like we said before. It's really too far away right now. So
yes.
let's first finish Saint Kotar, then we'll see what.
I completely agree. You have enough on your plate, I think, at the moment. But well, whatever you. First of all, I'm really looking forward to playing the prologue and then the full game. Well, the fuller game, and then whatever you guys do next. I look forward to hearing more about it. So, well, thank you very much, Marko. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, no, I hope that we're recording this when the COVID at least is still at least here. Hopefully, in the future, when it finishes, we can meet then. Because I've always wanted to go to Croatia.
Yeah, maybe
I'll be the one.
Maybe you can buy the top tier.
I'll see. I'll have to check my bank account. I would love to. But maybe at the very least, I'd still like to go to Croatia once this all COVID ends, and visit that place then. So.
That will be great. If you come, it's not a problem. We will free up our time and meet with you. That will be really great. Yes.
Great. Well, looking forward to it. And as I said, I'm really looking forward to the Kickstarter, which is out now. The time that this episode is out. So, but people can still back it. And so thank you very much, and I look forward to playing the prologue and to seeing what to do next. So thank you very much for joining me, Marko, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank you.
That was my interview with Marko from Red Martyr Entertainment. I hope you enjoyed it. And as we mentioned, you can check out his game on Kickstarter. You can check out the free prologue, the Yellow Mask on Steam, and you can check out their game on Kickstarter and back it if you so wish. So thank you, Marko, for joining me. So that is it for this week. Next week, I'll be joined by Thomas Bex from The Gaming Outsider and Laura Kress from AdventureGamers.com, as we will be reviewing the latest games that we have been playing. So until then, take care, everyone. Goodbye. If you like the Adventure Games podcast, then please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Please leave a review on iTunes if you can, as every review helps, and reviews will help get the word out, especially for adventure game developers who appear on the podcast. Now, you can also follow me on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at AdventGamePod. You can follow me on Facebook at Adventure Games Podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Adventure Games Podcast as well. And we're also on Discord at Adventure Games Podcast. So if you are a adventure game developer or adventure game player, you can follow us there. So again, please feel free to retweet and share podcast episodes and the podcast to people who you believe may enjoy it. And you can also find more information about the podcast on www.adventuregamespodcast.com. So until next time, thank you.